Guys, guys, let's be nice. Let's be friends. Friends. It's over for voice actors. Oh man. It's over.
Yeah, it's not psychotic, it's bolted for no. The seeds, I just better of a Jason Sigga. Or for the girl, for myself. The phone's called Will. Power in politics, they suppress your spirit through your minds in school and colleges. See, they're not restrained by oughts to do what should be done. Won't hesitate to use technology to keep you dumb. Using influencers like influenza to keep you numb and put surveillance on top of surveillance on everyone. Under the circumstance of academic momentum, science and technology are steady fed by your efforts. Don't think you really know because you read it on Reddit. Whatever method you attempt to dissect it, what will get shredded. They use the same script on every news channel, exploiting their reach to confuse their deluded chattel. They want the public to accept and give them confidence as a stepping stone to transform everything to godlessness. They want to split the species to guide our evolution, to make delusion normal. They have devised solutions, provide illusions for you to hold on to lies and muses, to try to use us as guinea pigs for life's amusement. Useful idiots, chickens for KFC. That's what they think of you, that's what they think of me. But when it's all been said and done, know who I'd rather be. None of them, cause none of them are truly human beings. Their rule is technocratic, masses turn obsessive addicts. They send you backwards mentally, cause exponential damage. They'll let you loose with toys, but won't mention potential hazards. Watching your every move and collecting your petty data. Over time, the grip on individuals' minds tightens. Physiologists, psychology, literally blindside us. Is clearly an attempt to be very authoritarian, using your mind against you to bury you in delirium. What's education that destroys your free will? A way to keep you forever climbing a steep hill. It's in your food, the medicines and our laws. From an early age, you've been raised to be what you are. It's mass ecology through education, religion, but that's diminished. The press and the cinema, the radio, it still plays a part, but now with streamers to persuade you they'll go way too far. They just clowns and dreamers. They want to split the species to guide our evolution, to make delusion normal. They have devised solutions, provide illusions for you to hold on to lies and muses, to try to use us as guinea pigs for life's amusement. Useful idiots, chickens for KFC. That's what they think of you, that's what they think of me. But when it's all been said and done, know who I'd rather be. None of them, cause none of them. I hate to break it to you, you don't believe me, do you? The missing link is non-existent, but they still feed it to you. So many hoaxes like Piltdown Man was just a monkey. Our evolution really still outlandish and it's funny. A spirit war, even the physicists are committed to blocking peace, using fabricated data to manipulate the scene, to stop the public getting too quick for them to deceive. They lied about cold fusion too, or to keep you sleep. We sow and sow they little seeds, and so the reapers reap. Manipulating data ain't beyond the scientific mind, rewiring the blind to become like them in their pride. They think it's fun trying to prove to you that life is meaningless, but they don't understand their words can mean no less. Even when they do have a point, it's weak and stressing. They wanna think you are innate to be progressive. Yeah, right. They think it's fun trying to prove to you that life is meaningless, but they don't understand their words can mean no less. Even when they do have a point, it's weak and wretched. They wanna think you are innate to be progressive.
Yeah, right.
They want to split the species to guide our evolution, to make delusion normal. They have devised solution, provide illusions for you to hold on to lies and muses, to try to use us as guinea pigs for life's amusement. Useful idiots, chickens for KFC. That's what they think of you, that's what they think of me. But when it's all been said and done, know who I'd rather be. None of them, cause none of them are truly human beings. Yeah, right.
That song is fire. That's a good song too. Digital ghosts inside my mind, painting pictures of Pixels forming what I'm meant to find. I've not read St. Augustine, no. I haven't read a lot. I just read. I read a little. But, like, if you read, like, 5 books, you'll be, like, 5 books ahead of every other debater, so. This is what atheists want for books. Atheists hate books. But I got this book. So if you read that book, guess you wouldn't believe what's in this book. But in this book is an objective proof for Christianity. I know, it's hard to believe, right? I mean, if you just look at the cover of the book, you wouldn't suspect that there would be an objective proof for Christianity inside the pages of the book. But I'm here to tell you, I read this book, and it's true. In this book is an objective proof for Christianity. It's amazing, huh? Amazing. And again, if atheism wins, this is the future of books. Because they don't read, guys. Like, what? Why would they read? They could watch Star Wars or, like, Marvel movies. You know? I mean, they're just an evolved animal. Animals don't read. So, why should I read? My dog don't read. That's atheism. Well, but if an atheist does read, they read like a book about a flying spaghetti monster or something, like, kind of dumb. Billy Badass. How about that new Kanye? Precept is powerful, you guys. Abandon evidentialism.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Yes, precept. Let's see here. This is the result of abandoning God.
Scientific American.
Uh-huh.
So, God is the absolute. God is our foundation for absolute truth. And notice, like, today, people reject absolute truth, and they want to be what they call relativists. But this is where relativism goes. Now there's no objective reality.
The magazine. I remember when it was around when I was
grew up with it, yeah.
Grew up with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, their editor had to quit.
Yeah, I heard about it because she expressed some opinions, right.
Sure, but it sure didn't sound scientific. It didn't sound like the person I would want to be running Scientific American.
Okay.
It was a rant on Twitter. Inequity between male and female athletes is the result not of inherent biological differences between the sexes, but of biases in how they are treated in sports. That's nuts. And it sure ain't scientific, and it's in Scientific American. What I'm asking is, Scientific American is saying, basically, that the reason why an WNBA team can't beat the Lakers is because of societal.
Does she still have her job?
No. Not because of this. I said the scandal is not her tweet. The
Because
scandal,
that was like a year ago, was it? Which one was a year ago?
I think a year ago, women still couldn't beat men
Yeah.
in basketball or any other sport. And it wasn't because of society.
See, isn't that crazy? That's relativism. How is Christianity objective? I was thinking about how to answer that now. I forget what I was going to say. It's proven that without the Christian God, you couldn't prove. I was just thinking of a way to explain that now. It like totally lost my mind. How is it objectively proven? Is self-validating, which doesn't make sense, or we're gonna have like Jesus help us or justify our reason. So we need like basically Jesus who's outside of humanity to justify our reason. Otherwise, you'd have to say like your reasoning is self-validating, which is like absurd. So Jesus is necessary for reason itself. That's the proof. So I had like a here, I'll give you an example. So today I had an atheist say that like the default position is atheism, and he defined it as withholding acknowledgement of God until sufficient evidence is presented. But here is the core issue. That definition assumes things like a standard of knowledge, rationality, and evidence. And he hasn't made any of these standards real. He's already decided that there isn't sufficient evidence of God, but the standards he's using to make that judgment, he hasn't made those real yet. So he's making epistemic judgments within his position that hasn't justified the use of the tools he's using. He hasn't justified the tools he's using, like logic, induction, the value of truth, intelligibility of experience. Those things haven't been justified. So it's like what he's doing is a contradiction. So the atheist position boils down to, I will believe in God when the universe makes him appear before me in a testable, observable, verifiable way. But the problem, that's assuming that like God is an object in creation, not an eternal creator who grounds all objects, observations, verification, and logic itself. So you're not neutral God as if he's like just another regular fact. So your position where reason is self-validating, where nature is you're saying that man, not God, is the judge of truth. So your position is man is the judge of truth. My position is God is the judge of truth. And that's what the disagreement is. So we have to address that issue. You have to defend like how could man be the judge of truth? Welcome.
What's up? What's up?
What would you like to say,
Hello?
neighbor? Hello, neighbor.
What's up?
What would you like to say?
Well, I just have a question. What's your standard of evidence?
My standard. Well, my ultimate standard for truth would be like God.
No, your evidence. Evidence. Not truth, not what you claim truth is, evidence.
The standard for evidence. We would have.
What's your standard for evidence?
God would be the ultimate standard.
No God. Evidence. Take God out of the equation. What's your standard for evidence?
That is the standard.
No, that's not. That's going back to God. That's not a standard for evidence that you...
God. Whether God makes it real or not.
Stop pointing at God. What is your standard for something being real?
I'm answering your question, dude.
Being real.
I'm answering your question, dude.
That is not an answer.
Okay. They left. They left. You have to behave yourself.
I am.
No, you're not.
You're just not giving an answer.
That's ridiculous. God, in the Christian worldview, God is the ultimate standard for truth and for the good. So that is my
So if you ask me the same question, I can point to atheism. I can just say atheism.
I don't know what you're saying.
You're using God as a scapegoat, as your window to point to jump out of for any question that you can't give a real rational answer to.
It's not an escape. It's
Yes, that's exactly
it's
what
my,
you're doing.
No, my position is that God's revealed himself in creation.
That's not a position. That's a one-word answer.
It's my position.
That's not a position. That is a scapegoat.
It's not a scapegoat. It's my position.
You're not giving any substance to the answer.
You've made this day a special day by just your being you. There's no person in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are.
I like you just the way you are, sir. I wouldn't even want to convince you that God exists. You're perfect. Welcome.
Hello. Hello.
Are you an adult?
Yeah.
Okay. What would you like to say, neighbor?
So I just want to ask you about your first claim. How is Christianity objectively proven?
Christianity is objectively proven because it's only God can like make logic real or explain how like science is possible or explain how like why when you steal candy from a baby you feel bad. That's God revealing himself, because in a world where you're just a cosmic accident, there'd be no reason like why you would feel bad when you steal candy from a baby. It wouldn't make any sense.
So you're saying that morals only exist because of Christianity?
Yeah. What would make it like wrong in reality, not just like your preference or opinion? What would make it actually wrong to steal candy from a baby if there's no God to do that?
Okay, well, so you believe that morals come from religion, right?
No, I believe they come from God.
So, okay.
God
So
revealed-
you believe they come from God. So
Yes.
back like way before the first civilizations like Mesopotamia and civilizations like that, they didn't believe in Christianity. They didn't believe in like your God. But they still made the first set of written laws, like stealing is wrong and all of that. So how do you account for that? How do you explain like
Because they're created by my God. So they God wrote some like
but there wasn't any documentation, like there wasn't any Bible or like any type of religious book to give them a set of laws to follow. They didn't have anything like
but
that.
but Adam and Eve knew God in the garden. And so the original people knew Jesus, and then there's these religions that were kind of like a perversion of that, I guess, because of the fall.
Mesopotamia,
So
what existed before?
They were all no, nothing is before. Christianity starts at the beginning with Adam and Eve.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying Mesopotamia existed before the birth of Christ. So
But not before the Garden of Eden. In the Garden of Eden, Jesus was with Adam and Eve. So like they would have always had sort of a sense of right and wrong, because they're God's children, and he made them. We're made in God's image, so we have sort of a sense of right and wrong, but we're totally lost without God.
But Mesopotamia they weren't Christian. They didn't believe in Jesus. They didn't believe in Adam and Eve. They weren't Christian. They didn't have that
I know that, but they're still made by the Christian God, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter like
That
if
I'm
you
sorry, this argument doesn't make sense. What do you mean they're made by the Christian
well,
God, so they believe in like
it doesn't
Christian?
matter what you believe, right? I'm not talking about what a particular person believes. I'm talking about like, are we in the Christian God's world, right? So if the book is true, then those people in Mesopotamia, they were made by the Christian God. See what I'm saying?
Okay,
God would have made
so
them to have like his law on their heart.
so how do you explain that their set of laws was
I just told
influenced by
you.
Christianity? I'm
I
confused.
just told you. God,
No,
the
you're saying
Christian
that God
God,
created them. You're saying your
yes,
God
and he
created
put
them.
his law on their heart.
No, no, no,
Oh
no,
my
no,
God.
no. That's not. No, that's not. That's not. That's literally not. They. Do you know Harambe's law? Do you know Harambe's law?
No.
It's the first set of written law ever created, and not ever created, but it's the earliest documented set of laws created by man. So,
Okay.
and they were a theistic. They were a theistic government, but they didn't believe in Christ. They didn't believe in Christianity. They were
I understand that. Yes.
polytheistic. They were a polytheistic religion. They followed a different religion.
Yes.
So how do you explain that Christianity is
Because did
essentially
Jesus are they the were they created by Jesus and the Father?
they
Yes.
didn't believe in.
Does it matter what they believe or does it matter what's real?
Yes, because your
Hold
argument is
on.
that Christianity
Hold on.
was the
No. What if they didn't believe in gravity? Could they jump to the moon now because they don't believe in gravity?
that what?
What? If I don't believe in gravity, can I jump to the moon?
Okay, first they didn't even have an
Can you
idea of
answer my
gravity. They
question?
didn't
I'm
have
getting
an
really
idea.
frustrated with you. You have a bad attitude.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
right? You can't just go, I don't believe in gravity. I'm going to go jump to the moon. Why? Because guess what? Just because you believe something, it doesn't make it real. Did you know that?
Okay.
So it doesn't matter what those people in Mesopotamia believe because whether they believe it or not, Jesus and the Father and the Holy Spirit created them and he put their law or God put his law in their heart. And so they have a sort of sense of right and wrong because they're children of the Christian God. So it doesn't matter what they believe, that's irrelevant. It matters
Okay.
what's real.
Okay. So, I want you to explain to me how their set of written laws
I just
was
told you.
influenced. So you're saying because they were
God
created by
created
God?
them. God created them and put his law in their heart. That I keep telling you this and you keep ignoring what I am saying.
I'm not ignoring you. You're
Then why do
claiming
you respond then?
because I'm trying to get a good explanation out of you because this doesn't make sense.
What
This
the
doesn't make sense.
How does
Just because
that
they
not
don't
make
believe in it
sense?
doesn't mean it's real. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't mean
Are
that
you kidding
their
me?
their law was influenced by Christianity. I need you to explain to
If
me.
the Christian God created them and put his law in their heart, would their human law be influenced by the being that created them?
You believe in free will, right?
Hello, McFly. Is this thing on? Hello? If the Christian God created them and made their heart in such a way that they would sort of know right and wrong, wouldn't the Christian God influence their laws?
If you believe in the Christian God, yes, but they didn't
There you
believe in the Christian
go.
God. They didn't
Duh.
believe in the Christian God.
Duh. So that's it. That's the answer to your question.
That's not the answer though. Here, okay, let me ask
What
you
are
a
you
question.
talking
You
about?
you believe in free will, right? You believe in free will.
Oh, now we're going to free will.
No,
Okay.
I'm just asking. You believe
I
in
just
free
want.
will.
Can you just concede that you're wrong on the last one?
If you believe I'm wrong, you can believe
If
I'm wrong.
I just
Because
proved
you
you
didn't
wrong.
prove anything. You
I
didn't
just
prove
proved
anything.
you wrong.
You didn't prove anything, but
Oh my
I'm just gonna
goodness.
ask my question. You believe in free will, correct?
Yeah, and I'll answer because I'm not a coward like you, okay? Yes, I do.
So you believe in free will, correct? So it says in your own religion that in Christianity, the Bible was created or written so people would have a set of rules to follow so they wouldn't
No,
end up.
no.
What do you mean no? Well, then why was the Bible created? To tell the story of God and to tell them to tell the story of God and to tell Christians what to follow, what's right and wrong. So
No.
explain to me how that's wrong. Why is that wrong? Why is that wrong?
The Bible isn't meant to be like a list of commands, a checklist of like you do X, Y, Z, then you go to heaven or something like that.
Why was it created? How was?
It's a book that tells us about God and his will, and then it warns us about life and death and tells us like how to be on guard for destruction. It warns us against
So
self-destruction.
were the 10 Commandments ever mentioned in the Bible?
Yes.
So what do you mean they don't talk about the Bible doesn't talk about a set of rules to follow? What do you
don't have to
mean?
follow the 10 Commandments.
So wait. No. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't have to follow the 10 Commandments? You don't have you can lie, you can kill someone, you can that doesn't make sense.
You can't say that word. We don't
I'm sorry.
in Christianity there's no like obligation. We don't have to do anything. In Christianity is like a way of life where Jesus and the grace of God change your heart and who you are on the inside. And as a result of that change, you naturally live your life differently, not just believe differently, you live differently. And that living differently produces good fruit. So there's no obligations. Everything is done because you want to do it because you love Jesus.
Okay, so let's say I love Jesus and then I unalive someone and I lie and I steal and I have a child without getting married. I'm going to heaven?
If you repent and ask for forgiveness, yeah. And you believe God can, and you believe Jesus can forgive your sins, his blood and his perfect sacrifice. Unless you like, it depends on if you commit to like a lifestyle of sin, you can't, because that would be fake. You can't like fake repent. You can't have a lifestyle of sin.
Oh my God. This is going nowhere?
Obviously, like Christians are gonna make mistakes because even Paul said he had a thorn of the flesh, and he was like one of the best Christians ever. So it's not like you're gonna be perfect just because you're a Christian or something. The point is you just try your best to like do the right thing, and you're gonna make mistakes.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the Bible gives you like things not to do, and if like things that are bad to do morally, because that's what you said that yourself. You said that yourself. God gives you morals, and God gives you morals to follow.
I'll read the Bible to support what I'm saying. You don't have to take my word for it, right? I know.
No, it's not that. Your argument is giving me nothing.
I want to read the Bible, okay? So this is, I'm going to read Romans 13 at the end of the letter. Starting at verse 8. Owe nothing to anyone except to love one another, for he who loves his neighbor has fulfilled the law. For this, now we're going to quote the 10 Commandments here. So you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet. And if there are any other commandment, it is summed up in this saying, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no wrong to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfillment of the law. So Jesus has fulfilled the law by showing us like how to live in a relationship of love with God and love with others. So it's not, we don't have to like obey any commandments or anything. We just have to live in a loving relationship with our neighbors and God. And that's what so that's it.
So you essentially prove nothing. And I'm just gonna be like blunt. I'm not trying to be rude, but you're this you reading the Bible proved nothing to me actually, because the Bible still gives you a set of like rules to follow. Because would you go
It doesn't.
and murder someone even though you know it's wrong in the Bible? Would you do it intentionally?
Well, I love other people, so I want the best for them.
Oh my God, no, that's not what I'm asking.
So I
That's not what
wouldn't
I'm
do
asking.
that.
Would you go
Because of,
out?
because of love, not because of a commandment.
No, no, that's. Okay, would you lie to somebody? Would you lie to somebody? Would you lie to somebody even though you know it's wrong?
If I was in a moment of weakness, I might, but I would try not to.
Oh my God.
What?
I'm sorry. It's just, sometimes, like, some people are just so stupid you can't handle it. I don't.
Yes. Forgive me, I am a fool for Christ.
No, it's not the fact that you believe in Christ. It's the fact that you made no good argument whatsoever this whole time, and it's genuinely hurting my head. So,
Okay.
I tried it. I really tried. I want to go to your fourth claim. Abortion is child sacrifice. Could you explain that to me?
Yeah, you're just you're doing like a ritual child sacrifice of a preborn baby to
Oh
a
my God.
false idol of like women's bodily autonomy or mammon or something.
You believe abortion is a sacrifice to women's anatomy. Is that what you're saying?
Autonomy, yes, and like women's right to choose. It's
Autonomy?
typically the number one reason given. It's my body, my choice. But the baby has a body, and where's the baby's choice? Do you think the baby is going to choose to be aborted? I wouldn't choose to be aborted if I was a baby. Would you? I wouldn't choose that. I don't see how they're pro-choice because they're taking away a choice from a baby. I think babies should have choice. I'm pro baby choice. Babies should have choice. Preborn. I'm pro preborn baby choice. And I'm gonna err on the side of caution.
Sorry, wait, I'm sorry, hold on.
I'm assuming the preborn baby isn't like depressed and wanting to like unalive themselves, and that they probably choose to live. I'm gonna take a leap of faith.
Okay.
there.
So okay. Sorry, that's just what you said. Okay. So you think abortion is a sacrifice?
Yeah, a
Because
ritual sacrifice.
okay. So
Like in the
you
past,
believe
humans
the
did that.
baby is its own body, so it doesn't have the choice to get aborted, so essentially it's wrong. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's wrong because God values the baby's life. But I was just making a point about how pro-choice people aren't really pro-choice. That's a lie because the baby,
Because
you're taking away the choice of the baby. So they're actually pro, they're like anti-choice. They're
okay,
liars.
I'm gonna say some stuff, and I want you to actually listen and use your brain for a second, okay?
Oh, okay.
So the baby, okay, whenever it's growing in the mother, okay, the mother creates a new organ. It's called the placenta. The placenta takes nutrients out of the mother's bloodstream to give to the fetus, the baby, and it's essentially taking the mother's nutrients, the mother's, like, everything from the mother to give to the baby. Not everything, but like a lot of things from the mother to give to the baby. And it's like, essentially, it takes a lot out of the mother, especially with all the hormonal changes and the changes in her body. And then we also have like a lot of mental issues, postpartum depression. A lot of women suffer from schizophrenia, and like a lot of women, they get anxiety, and they suffer so much. And a lot of sacrifice goes into growing this baby. So you taking away the mother's choice to not have to give those sacrifices essentially takes away the beauty of growing another human. If she doesn't want to,
Well,
then why?
it's absurd. Well, we could just extend this logic to like, why is it just preborn babies? I mean, the mother and father have to sacrifice for their like 6-year-old, and their 13-year-old is more expensive than a 1-year-old. So you have to sacrifice more for the 13-year-old. So we should unalive we should be allowed to unalive the 13-year-old because they have to sacrifice for it. I mean, that's
Okay,
easy. It's
I asked you to use your brain. You're not using it right now. I said
I'm taking
there's a
your logic and
huge difference. There's a huge difference. The mother, whenever she's growing the fetus in her stomach, she has to take the nutrients out of her blood, and like, there's so many like risks that come with childbirth. The mother could die.
all of this applies to children that like are after birth. So I don't see the difference.
No, the mother does not have to take the nutrients out of her blood and give it to her 13-year-old kid. That's not comparable. It's not comparable at all.
Well, she would have to like use nutrients to like cook for him.
Correct, but she doesn't have to take it out of her own blood. She doesn't have to create a whole new organ
It's not much of
to
a difference.
provide nutrients for that child.
It's not much of a difference. She's sacrificing nutrients to labor, to like wash the kid's clothes. I mean, she doesn't have to do laundry when it's in her belly. She doesn't have to cook for it. There's a lot of like more labor that goes into taking care of like a 10-year-old. So she has to maybe she has to sacrifice more nutrients due to all that labor. So I don't know. I don't think what you're saying, like, it's just, so like the thing with logic is we have to be able to like apply it consistently, and like the same logic you're applying to like the preborn baby can be applied to like the 10-year-old kid. And then, so what are we going to allow someone to unalive a 10-year-old? Like, it's ridiculous. You're a monster. Isn't it weird? Why do humans want to unalive babies? I mean, I get like animals do that because they're animals, but presumably, like, you wouldn't think like a human's an animal or something.
Sorry. Okay. Okay. Sorry. What were we talking about? Okay. Sorry. Repeat what you were saying.
You were just, I can't basically how your logic, it doesn't make sense because like it would apply to a 10-year-old.
He wasn't muting me. I was muting myself. So that can't be compared. That cannot be compared. Because no, it cannot. Because the mother, whenever she is growing the fetus in her body, she has to sacrifice her physical and mental well-being, and she has to go through so many hormonal changes. She has to grow a whole new organ just to support that baby that's growing in her. The mother, whenever she is raising a 10-year-old child, she might be sacrificing her mental health, but she's able to get resources to help that child without having to sacrifice her physical body, like having to grow a whole new organ and things like that. So those two are not comparable.
I don't see the difference really.
I just explained it to you.
But it's just like it's just doing like an ad hoc rescue. It's just like you're just being arbitrary. Like,
Oh my god. Oh my gosh.
until I give someone else a chance.
Okay, yeah, you're frustrating. I can't.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Forgive me. You too. I'm unblocking everyone, by the way. It's Jubilee. Everyone got, man, there's a lot of blocked people. Holy crap. Oh, actually there isn't that many blocked people. I thought it was way more. There we go. No one's blocked. Welcome.
Hi. Can you tell me why atheism is irrational?
Yeah, because it ignores evidence. It's a contradiction. It's a blind lack of belief with no reason behind it.
Okay, there were three interesting reasons. What was your first one again?
It ignores evidence.
What evidence does it ignore?
The transcendental argument for God, I think, demonstrably shows God exists.
How does it show God exists?
That it's impossible to deny God without like using God's tools like logic.
How is that God's tool?
Because only the Christian God can make logic real.
So you understand that's a circular argument, yeah?
It's impossible to be a circular argument because it's non-linear.
You're
would be a feature.
you're literally using something that is the end result of it.
Are you saying that God can't prove his own existence on his own authority?
Reword it a different way. Try wording that sentence a different way. Go on.
Can God justify God by revealing himself in creation and in human history?
No,
Why not?
because that's not revealing himself.
I don't understand. Like God being the creator of everything and the source of all.
But you're making the assumption to start your point of view that God is the creator of all things. Try doing it without doing that.
That's the point. If you
No, that's a circular argument.
well, we both have a circle, but the difference is that my
No, where's my
circle,
circle?
it would be like in like whatever you say is like ultimate or like necessary or something.
No, try again.
Okay, so like how do you know logic is true?
Because I use it on a daily basis.
Okay, there's your circle. So there's your circle.
Sorry, no. Where's the circle?
You use logic to justify logic. Or
Okay, does a square peg go in a round hole?
You're saying that human reason is just self-validating.
No, that's not what I said.
How do
Does
you
a square
what's the
peg? Let
reason
me
for
explain why
reason?
it's not a circular argument. Does a square peg go in a round hole?
What's your non-circular reason for reason?
I'm using it now. Does a square peg
what's
go
your
in a
non-
round hole?
No,
How do you know logically that's the case?
because of God.
The only way that you know a square peg doesn't go into a round hole is because of God.
Yeah, what's your reason for reason?
Because I've tested that fact as a child.
That's circular.
How is it circular?
Because you're using logic to.
I didn't know
The test-
something.
the test
I didn't know
presupposes
something, and
The
then I
test-
tried it.
The test presupposes a standard of logic, so that's circular. So here's the deal, bub.
Did you call me bub?
Yeah, here's the deal, bub.
What's bub?
It's like, hey neighbor, here's the deal.
I'm
My
not-
my circle is internally consistent and externally verifiable.
It's not verifiable
I'm
without
not done
starting.
talking, neighbor.
It's
Neighbor.
not. It's not verifiable. But you're
It
lying.
is.
You're
It
lying to
is.
people.
Neighbor,
Do you-
I'm
what-
not.
For
Neighbor,
somebody
I'm
that's
not-
Christian,
I'm not
you do
lying
get
to
yourself
you.
very wound up, don't you? That's not very Christian.
You think I'm wound up, neighbor?
Very.
I don't think so.
You sound extremely stressed.
Well, you
Yeah?
interrupted me while I was talking.
Have you got a blood pressure monitor there, mate? You might want to try it.
Okay.
Yeah, just calm down, right?
I'm calmer than
Okay.
you are. My grandpa died in World War II, or else you'd be speaking German right now.
What are you even on about? Do you even know your history?
So this is a book.
Did your granddad write that?
Have you ever read a book?
Yeah, a few.
Okay, if you read this book, you'll understand. Guess what? Guess what it's about?
Well, by the title,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, okay, it looks like something, I don't know, that J.K. Rowling might have wrote. I mean, is Harry Potter in this one as well?
Oh, that's really funny. Well, this is what happens to books because atheists never read books.
Atheists never read books.
No.
And can you quantify that statement for me?
Yeah, all the atheists. I do an inductive survey. I've talked to thousands of atheists.
You've spoken to thousands of atheists, and they've all said to you,
They've
"Oh, no, I don't
never
read
they
books."
never bring up like a book. They always talk about video games and Star Wars and Marvel movies, and they're really like they just have like cliches and platitudes. They don't have any logical arguments. They're
Okay, so would you like a logical argument? You ready?
atheists are very like surface
Do
level.
you want a logical argument? You ready?
I find them to be surface level and shallow.
Let's go really deep then. Is your God all knowing?
Yes.
Could he have created any universe he wanted?
I don't know.
You don't know that if God has a limitation.
Well, I don't think we should just make stuff up. I like to
Do you think your God has limitations?
he limits himself.
As God, not as Jesus, as God, does he have limitations?
Yeah, he limits himself.
Could he have created a universe where cancer didn't exist?
I don't know. Does the Bible say? Does the Bible talk about that?
The Bible doesn't mention it. It doesn't also doesn't
I don't know
mention
how we.
PlayStation.
I don't think we could. I don't think we could really like know. See, in my mind, like we can only know claims about God if God tells us Himself. Because humans can't. We can't use logic to say anything about God. We can't use science to make a claim about God. So
Oh, excellent. Okay, so you agree with slavery then?
well, no, God. The
Well,
God.
where did God directly tell you slavery was not acceptable?
in the Bible?
Show me where. Which verse and passage?
I think it's Deuteronomy.
Go on, go for it.
Okay. I think it's the Deuteronomy 24:7. If a man what?
Yeah. Go on.
If a man is found stealing one of his brothers of the people of Israel, and if he treats him as a slave or sells him, then that thief shall be put to capital punishment.
So he's on about stealing a slave.
No,
Where does it say slavery is not acceptable?
that's what it says in that verse.
It literally doesn't say that at all. It
Okay.
talks about stealing a slave.
I think I'm just gonna. I mean, I feel like now. See, did you see what happened in the news in America? I don't know if you know.
I don't know. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in why you're
here's the
lying.
problem. Now.
I'm interested in why you're a liar.
Well,
Your
here's
God
the
is
problem.
watching you.
There's a
Your God's
problem.
watching you, and you cannot back up the claims that you're making.
I
Right?
can't-
You're
I
only
can't-
interested in the things, okay, right, that God tells you are acceptable.
Hold
Can you
on
show
now.
me where? Can you show me where God says that
Wait.
pedos aren't acceptable?
Okay, we have.
Because you must believe they're acceptable in society.
Okay, there's a little bit of see like what's. I can't have that on my panel because if that's. I don't know if I can even describe what that guy's doing. I don't know if I can even describe what that guy's doing. But you saw what's happened in the news where the guy unalived the Israeli ambassadors. So there's this mentality of like people want to unalive Israeli ambassadors, and I don't know, but did you guys get a vibe from him that he didn't like a certain Semitic type of people? It seemed like he had. I got a vibe like a Yahtzee vibe from that guy. So that's disgusting. Yeah, I got like a North Korean vibe there. Welcome.
APP, did you miss me?
Can we act like adults? Like we're both neighbors. Can we just act like
Well,
adults, please?
for people who
I don't.
believe in really bad things, I kind of treat poorly, but
What?
just
Why
me.
would? Bad by what standard?
The permissible unalivement of innocent people.
And that's wrong because of what objective standard?
Well, it's my morality is my presupposition. It's subjective.
Oh, you just per fantasy. It's
But
wrong.
you happen to agree to that, so you're actually
Stop.
performing a contradiction
We don't debate.
in your own belief system.
We don't debate fantasy here. Can you ground why it's wrong?
Sure, actually, I can.
Do you understand? This is why you
Via your own
you need
beliefs.
this. Wait. What's the objective standard? Do you want to concede that there is no objective standard?
I
Have you
don't believe
conceded that?
for morality.
Yes.
Wait, for morality?
Yes.
Then yeah, I grant that.
Okay. Well, here's the problem. I'm a realist and I don't do fantasy debates. And if morals are not like if morals are a
Don't be
fantasy,
scared of me
then
this quickly.
if morals are a fantasy, it logically and necessarily follows that truth is a
Sure. Are they a
fantasy.
fantasy to you?
Truth would be a fantasy if morals are a
Are they a
fantasy.
fantasy to you?
And I don't want to debate your fantasies, okay?
Okay,
So
this is your belief. Are
when
they a
when
fantasy
you
to
can
you?
figure out Tristan, when you can figure out an objective standard,
I
then we
figured
can.
it out. I just figured it out. Are they a fantasy to you?
Okay. Tristan, if you can figure out an objective standard for morality, then we can have a debate. Because, like, to me, like, I don't want to debate your fantasy, Tristan. I'd like to debate something that's like grounded in reality. I get it that you're not a realist or whatever, but for me, I think it's like a contradiction to debate someone if they're not a realist. And it's like, what's the point of being arbitrary in a debate? I think it's a contradiction. So it's just foolish. Welcome, neighbor.
How is books? I just want you to explain the picture for this live.
All right, forgot about that. So yeah, atheists don't read. They hate books. They just play video games, and they watch Marvel movies and Star Wars. And so if there's no more Christians, then no one will read, and then books will just disappear.
You do know that's wrong, right?
No.
Do you want examples?
No.
Okay. Also, you kind of misspelled atheism. That was really all I wanted to say. I'll leave now. How do I leave?
I can kick you.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see here. He figured it out. Dang it. I was gonna go to a sound effect. Welcome.
Hi, can you hear
Hi.
me all right?
Yeah.
Hi, sorry, this is the first time I've been on one of these things. I just need to understand a little bit more about uh, abortion is child sacrifice.
Yeah, it's like a ritual child sacrifice of a preborn baby to like this false idol of the women's right to choose.
False idol of the women's right to choose. Okay. And so when you say it's a child sacrifice to who?
Yeah, the false idol of like it could be like mammon, maybe like money. Sometimes women will say, "Well, I can't afford a child, so
Okay.
that's it."
So for it to be number 4, I'm assuming this is something that you've encountered in your day-to-day, like, because from what I'm listening to, a lot of the things that you're debating is your life experience. So tell me a little bit more about your life experience regarding that topic. That would be quite interesting for me.
Well, my mom, she was like an educator, a social worker, and she like worked with young women. And she would educate them about like how abortion, like they don't tell you that a lot of women regret having abortion because they feel guilty for unaliving their baby. And so, yeah, that's
That sounds
basically
quite
it.
tough.
And I really like my mom, respect my mom for doing that, because it's like helping innocent people that don't have they can't defend themselves.
I see.
That's
Defend
based.
themselves against what? Sorry.
Uh, being unalived.
Oh, you mean? Oh, sorry. I thought you meant the women being attacked, not the children. Okay, that's fine. I thought you were implying that women were attacked by men, and so that. But you were talking about the kids, right?
Yes, I
Oh,
was
right.
talking about the
Okay.
kids.
Right. That's interesting. Okay, so sorry, I've just got a few things because I've never kind of met anyone like you with views like this, so I find this really interesting. Um, I don't really have much to say as far as Christianity. I'm not going to say I'm atheist, but the atheism is irrational. You were talking about how I'm trying to remember that conversation. You were kind of saying like, well, prove there isn't a God, and then your guest was saying, well, prove there is, and you were saying, no, he just is.
No,
How is that an argument?
no, the proof for God is that when we look at things like math or logic, they have certain properties and attributes. Like
Mhm.
1 + 1 is all equals 2. That's always eternally true. Like forever in the past, present, future. 1 + 1 always equals 2. That never
Yes.
changes.
Yeah.
But the
That's
problem is like the only thing that never changes and is eternal is God. So only God could make math true. Human minds can't make it true because human minds change and human minds aren't eternal. And
uh-huh.
like the physical world doesn't make math true because it's
Okay.
pretty much the same thing. So
Okay.
math
That's
math
interesting.
math proves God because only God can explain math.
I mean, surely if that's the case, then all science is an act of God then. So science is correct.
Yes. There's a book called Science is God Shouting that goes into
Oh.
that, how science necessitates it's only possible if there's a God. If there's no God, we could not even do science.
Okay. Okay, that's quite interesting. Right. So your argument is that science is just God. So scientists have kind of proven things like the Big Bang being true because it's echoing,
Yeah.
and there's evidence of that. But then a lot of Christians seem to not believe in that because God created the universe. So if God created the universe, did he create the Big Bang, or is the Big Bang just science? Like, well,
Well,
what's going
the
on
thing,
there?
scientific truths are called provisional truths, where they're
Mhm.
open to change. So, like tomorrow, science could like discover something that proves everything the Bible says about creation, right? Science is always open to change and new ideas. So, scientific truths aren't absolute, and everything in science could be wrong if we're sort of looking at it from the wrong angle.
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of like assumptions that goes into these things due to human limitations.
Okay. So when you set up this live debate and you say that you said that science is God shouting, and a lot of atheism usually ties into scientific belief and that it's all evidence based.
Yeah, it's kind of
So
funny because
so
atheism actually on a surface level it seems like science and religion are antithetical because like their claims in the Bible go against claims in science.
mhm.
But at a deep level they actually need each other. And the same thing with like, well, I guess religion doesn't need science so much, but science needs God. But and the thing with atheism, it seems like atheists usually believe all the scientific claims, but at a deep, if you analyze it, if atheism were true, science would actually be impossible, and atheism actually undermines science, while Christianity undergirds science.
See, I see things very differently. I kind of see them in parallels. You say that you have to have, well, I don't know if you said it, but you have to have faith to believe in God. Is that correct?
You have to have faith to believe in God. I
Yeah.
mean, faith and belief are just kind of like the same. Faith just
And
means like
that's, isn't that
you
exactly what atheists do with science? We have faith in the science and the maths and in what atheism
um
is.
yeah, but like so imagine like believing in sunlight but denying the sun. Like since God is like the source of existence and logic and and value. It's like
I think kind of my biggest argument, because I'm seeing lots of people kind of back and forth, back and forth. Why does it matter? Why do people need to fight whether God is real, or like why does it matter to you so much to create a life to almost fight that no, God is real? There's many gods, there's thousands of gods. You believe in only one.
Yeah, and I think the truth matters, and I think only Jesus is the truth, and I want to share that truth with other people because I care about them and I want the best for them. And the gospel can save you from hellfire, so it's like a good thing to share with people.
That's very kind of you to do that, although I'm not entirely sure if it's needed. I think you would probably be better and more at peace if you just let it go.
Well, I don't know. I'm pretty happy doing what I'm doing, so
If you feel you're happy, I would say it's quite upsetting seeing abortion as child sacrifice as a woman. I know
Right.
you have your experience, I have mine. But, you know, it's kind of, I think just remember to open your mind a little bit more, and that we all live different lives and different experiences. That would be what I would say.
uh, and everyone can get people can get forgiven. See, I think we use like psychological. When people commit a crime, they use like distancing language to separate themselves from the guilt, and so it's like calling something an abortion or a medical
Or believing
procedure
in God.
is like separating yourself from the crime of actually like child sacrifice. So that's why I want to convict people in their heart, and I don't, if you do something that you should feel guilty about, then
I think you've misunderstood me. I've not had an abortion.
I'm not talking about you, and I'm talking about just in general. But-
I don't think there's much more I can say other than I feel like you're kind of fighting this corner where a lot of people are fighting you back. It's maybe try to be a little bit more centrist.
Yeah, I'm a radical.
I can tell you're a
got me.
radical.
You got me.
I can tell. But hey, good luck.
Yeah, you too. I wish you well.
I wish you well too. I hope you find peace.
All right. Thanks. Notification. That's a good name. Welcome, neighbor. Hello?
So I just wanted to go. Hello, can
Are
you
you
hear
an
me?
adult? Yeah, are you an adult?
Oh no, I'm a teenager. Is that bad?
Yeah, you have to be 18. Oh, sorry. It's the TikTok rules. It's probably for the best though, because there's a lot of weirdos on here, and I'm one of them. But I wouldn't do anything with a child or anything. But welcome, Dave Long.
What's up?
What's up?
Nothing. I'd like to understand how atheism is irrational.
Because it's like, imagine if I say I believe in sunlight, but I don't believe in the sun. Would you say that's irrational?
I mean, those don't equate.
Well, I'm trying to make an analogy because God is the source.
But it doesn't work.
God is the source of existence, like logic.
No, he's not.
And value.
He's
Okay, well,
not.
Then what is the source of logic that's not God?
I mean, I don't know, but that's the problem.
There you go.
You claim to have all the answers. Atheism doesn't. That's the difference in the stance.
So the difference
We don't
is
claim. The person who claims to know everything is the one who knows the least. Have you ever heard that?
No.
No? Yeah, I guessed as much.
Yeah, but the point is like, you're using God's logic. So it's like you can't use logic.
How am I
to
using
deny-
God's logic?
Because God is the only thing that can make logic real.
You keep just pointing to God.
But I gave an argument.
Yeah.
Because he has the attributes that make logic real, and nothing else has those attributes. So
I'm sitting in a parking lot right now. My car's parked. Why can't I say the purple car in front of me isn't what makes everything real?
because you're being childish.
No, the purple car is what makes
It
everything real.
doesn't. The purple car doesn't have the attributes set to make everything real.
But it does.
But you're just being.
No, it does. The purple car is all knowing. Same thing, buddy.
It's not the same thing. It has.
Yes, it is. The purple car is all knowing.
It has different attributes.
Yeah, and its attributes are better than your God's.
Okay, well,
It's
but
all knowing. It's above your God.
You're just ignoring the argument then.
No, I'm using the same argument you're using and what's been
It's
used
not
for
the same
thousands of
argument
years.
because
Yes, it
if
is.
it was the same argument, the purple car would have the same substance of God.
It does.
If the
It
purple
does.
car has a different substance, it's not the same argument. So you're just being childish.
It's the same argument. Go
It's
ahead.
not.
Use
I
one of
just
your
explained
arguments
why
and I
it's
can
not.
just
Hey, what up, Paraduper? Did you hear what he said? He goes, I can just say the purple car in front of the grounds logic. And I say, no, they have different attributes. Jesus and the car have different attributes. He's like, welcome, neighbor.
Hello.
Hello.
So just so I know, for the first one and second one, it seems like you're using tag. Is that it?
Hell yeah. Tag, yeah.
Oh man, I don't think tag is that convincing. I believe there's better arguments for sure. What makes you believe in tag?
Well, there can't be better arguments because the thing is like God is a transcendental. So God is the type of thing through which evidence is interpreted. So you can't prove like a framework to interpret evidence with evidence. It doesn't make sense. You have to do a framework comparison. Does that make you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand what you're saying, but for example, concepts like truth and logic, you'd have to prove that these concepts exist outside of humanity.
Yeah, that's easy. They're necessary. Humans aren't necessary. They're done.
Why is truth and logic necessary?
Because they're logic. Like the law of identity would have to be true before humans observe anything, because like how could you even observe something if it had no identity? How could something
Well, the law of
exist without
identity
identity?
requires an observer. You need something to be identified.
What?
Yeah, like for example, a rock is either a rock or not a rock, right? Something's either X or not. But for that, you need an X, and for you to have an X, you need something to identify that X, and that's humanity.
Can you observe something that has no identity?
Not sure what you mean by that.
Can you? You know why? Because the answer is this will destroy your stupid position. That's why all of a sudden now your brain don't work now, huh?
Or just explain your point.
Can you observe something with no identity? It's a simple
What do you mean
question.
by identity? Can you just elaborate on what you mean by identity?
We're talking about the law of identity.
Sure.
The
and
law
by
of identity
okay.
gives things an identity. So could you observe what would it mean to say, I observed this thing with no identity? What information would you get from that?
You won't get any information.
Yeah, you know why? Because something has to have an identity to even observe it, to even like categorize or analyze your observation. Something would have to have identity. So identity, the law of identity has to be true before any human observes anything in order to have an identity. That's why we call it a transcendental. It's true, necessarily true prior to any observation or any experience.
Okay. You understand the laws of logic are just patterns we recognized in the way we observe the universe. It's the same as vision, for example. So imagine...
That's not true.
It is. For example...
Stop.
The concept of vision...
Stop.
I'm explaining to you.
Stop. You are totally, grossly misinformed and low information. The laws of logic are not just descriptive. They're prescriptive. If we take you, let's say I say, okay, you're right. They're descriptive, right? Now what follows from that is there's no logical consistency. And I can just say God exists because there's a purple car in front of me. And there's nothing wrong with that logically if logic is only merely descriptive. So that position completely like is self-refuting and doesn't make any sense.
Actually, no. Logic is
Sir,
describing your perspective and reality. I can explain to you.
no, you
Can you?
can't.
Okay, first off,
I'm not interested in listening to someone who doesn't read. Okay, I know what I'm talking about. I read books. You're not gonna bullshit me. Can are the law? We can think of. Let's think of the laws of logic like rules. Let's make this really simple. The laws of logic are like rules of thinking. Okay, so could rules function if nothing enforces those rules?
no.
Right. So that means they're prescriptive. Something has to enforce the rules of logic. They're
Yeah, the brain,
prescriptive.
the mind.
It can't because it doesn't have the attribute set to enforce. Your mind isn't universal or unchanging. Logic is universal and unchanging. And it's necessary. So we need a necessary
Absolutely.
mind. We need a necessary mind that's unchanging, universal, absolute, eternal. That's God. So logic proves God.
No, you're saying mind is not universal. That is absolutely correct. That's why I'm saying truth and logic are not universal concepts. They just exist in the human mind.
No.
And you've yet not shown me that. You gave me the example of can something have an identity? Can something be
If
observed
it's
on an
not,
identity?
dude, I
But
gave
that
you the
still isn't
defeater.
observable.
I gave you the defeater for that position. If it's
You
not
told me to shut up when I
universal,
replied to your defeating argument, by the way. You
if
told
it's
me to shut
not
up
if
instead
it's
of
not
letting me reply.
universal, then I can just say God is true because the car in front of me is purple, and there's
No,
nothing logically
because
wrong
in
with
the
that.
human.
It's not universal. That's your
Oh
position.
my God, dude. I'm not
Oh my
saying
God,
truth is
dude.
not
Oh my God,
universal.
dude.
I'm
This
saying
is why
truth is a
you
human concept.
look. You can't just come up here and
You're not
contradict yourself,
tracking.
you are contradicting yourself.
What did I contradict?
You said the laws of logic are not universal. Did you not say that?
Yes, like
Okay, you
vision
know
and
what you
sound.
know what follows from that? Now we can't prove anything because I could just say that there's no logical consistency now.
Okay,
If
hold on.
they're not
I'll explain
universal,
to you
there's
the
no
first of all.
logical consistency. Do you understand
Listen to
that?
me, please. Listen to me. I'll
Okay,
explain
can you
in a very
make
simple way.
sense? Can you not contradict yourself, please? Go
Yes,
ahead.
I'll explain to you in a very simple way. Is the sky blue to everything in the universe?
Blue is a
Yes or no?
universal. What are you talking about?
We're using the concept of vision, okay? And I'm explaining to you how vision is universal, and then I'll use the same exact logic for logic itself, okay? So, is the
I'm
sky
not
blue
you're
to
not making
everything in
any
the universe like
sense.
a rock?
Dude, if logic isn't universal, then I can say God exists because the car in front of me is purple and because I don't have to be logically
Answer the
consistent.
question. You're dodging the
I don't
question.
understand your question.
Those rocks see the sky as blue.
No.
No, right? Because it will need eyes. It's a human concept. Let's just ignore animals. It's a human concept. Now, without an observer, could you make truth claims? Without a mind or anything, could you make a truth claim?
No.
Okay, then how is truth not dependent of an observer or an agent?
What does that matter?
If truth is dependent of an agent, that makes truth not universal. It just depends of that agent. And
No.
that literally destroys tag.
No, if the mind of God would be the absolute what is it? The
Yes, no, that is a possibility. I know what you're saying. That is a possibility. But tag is a
how
challenge
do
to
you
the
phrase it?
atheistic view.
The ultimate, yeah. So the mind of God is the ultimate objective absolute. So the mind of God is objective because it's unchanging and universal. So God's mind is universal. So that solves this problem.
You can't, no, it doesn't, because you're applying, okay, tag is a challenge to atheism. It's basically saying, without God, this will not be possible, therefore atheism is not possible. And now I'm explaining to you how it's still possible, and then you're saying no because of God.
No, the challenge is you have to tell me what's absolute, unchanging, universal, eternal, that's like not God, that can ground logic.
Nothing is absolute because truth claims depend on human mind. You've yet to prove me that. You've not proven
Okay,
that
so then
human...
you're not addressing the argument. You're just ignoring the argument.
No, I'm explaining to you. Your argument only works if truth would exist out of the human mind. Like vision doesn't
Your
exist of
position,
humans.
your position makes truth impossible because if truth is ultimately dependent on a human mind, then everything is subjective. and relative, and then that reduces to
No.
global Yes, your
The
position
sky
reduces.
being blue is not
You're
subjective,
not
though.
understanding. Your position reduces to global skepticism because it's ultimately based on your foundation is brute facts, and it's arbitrary because how do you know who has the correct brute facts? What if I disagree? Why can't I say God is a brute fact?
Because all humans are observing something.
Why
All humans
can't
have
I
some
say why
perspective.
can't I say
I'm
God is
explaining
a
to you.
brute fact?
I'm explaining to you. Because it doesn't fit in the characteristic of your brain that is observing. For example, I'm not going to say the
A
sky
brute
is red
fact is
now.
something you just say without explanation, right? You have brute facts in your system. You just accept like logic, and you don't. You're saying I don't need an explanation. Logic just is logic. So why can't I just say God just is? If you can make that move with logic, why can't I do that with God? You're like special pleading, you see?
It doesn't align with the logic that our brain makes.
If
I mean,
you
as
can
I
make
said,
if you can
is
make
only.
it, hey, look, what's sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. If you can do that move, I can do that move with God, right?
Again, you're not tracking my argument. I'm
Okay.
saying the same way.
You're being totally ridiculous. I tried to reason with you, bro. I'm not tracking your argument. Oh my god. You keep making claims, and then I point out the contradiction in what you're saying, and he's like, you're not tracking. Let me contradict myself more. You're not tracking. Here, let me contradict myself again. You're not tracking. Why do you keep saying I'm contradicting myself? Here, let me contradict myself. Good go. Doesn't like respond to anything I say, right? Like I'm giving him defeaters for his position. He's like, I don't care. What evidence of God can you provide? Well, there's like a book you could read. You're probably not going to do that because you're an atheist. The Objective Proof for Christianity, you could read the book. But like basically, you can't be neutral to God. The self-attesting Christ of Scripture does not permit neutrality. All reasoning is either submissive to him or in rebellion against him. So we either admit that we can't reason without the help of Jesus, or we admit that we need Jesus. Jesus is necessary for us to reason. There's no other position. There's no neutrality. You either reason with the aid of Jesus or not. Now, because Jesus, the self-attesting Christ of Scripture, is the transcendental necessity for intelligibility, meaning, and rationality, without him, human reasoning collapses into futility. So God, Christ, is a necessary foundation, starting point, or first principle. So we all have like a system of truth, and you can think of Christ as the necessary starting point in any system of truth. If you do start with anything other than Christ, human reasoning collapses into futility. And if you say like, oh, you're just using the Bible to prove the Bible, that's circular. Here's the thing. The Word of God is self-authenticating because it speaks with divine authority, and no higher authority can exist to verify it. So God is the Supreme Court of like what's true and what's not true, how to interpret facts. Like the Supreme Court is the final authority of interpreting the law. So if you deny that the Bible speaks authoritatively, I'm going to ask you, like, what authority would you appeal to that's not the authority of the Bible? And all you're going to have is, like, your opinion. So that's how we prove God. Because unless we have the mind of God as an authoritative, objective reference point in a system, all you have is just some arbitrary human mind and their fantasy of what's true and false. all loving and all knowing is so full of wrath and hatred for his creation. God doesn't hate his creation. He literally sacrificed his son so that you could have eternal life. If you rebel against, I mean, how is it God's fault if you rebel against God? I don't see how that's God's fault. I'm getting kind of hungry. I might take a break here. I'm gonna make a BLT. Y'all like some BLT? I like BLT. This is atheism. I'm telling you guys.
Why do you think it's not in your best interest to have stuff stolen from you or to be thrown off the stage?
Why is it not in my best interest?
Yeah. No, you don't get to think, oh, that's self-evident. It's like nothing's self-evident to the skeptic. Let's keep that in mind.
Oh. Well, so,
because if we're going to get skeptical here, we might as well go all the way to the bottom for dictating what's good for us.
No, because if you chop off my head, that is clearly not good for me. And it doesn't matter whether it was an act of free will or if it was my lawnmower.
It's clearly not good for you because you think you're valuable and worth preserving.
Yes.
Okay, that's the issue. Why do you think you're valuable and worth preserving?
Because I am the descendants of people who thought they were valuable and worth
Did he really just say that? Monkey value.
Who thought they were valuable.
Arguments I've ever imagine appealing to the fact that your like lineage because monkey value, right? Monkey have value. I have value because monkey value.
Right? And worth preserving, and the ones who didn't think that.
Pure bullshit. Matt, you just lost. Okay.
Why?
Monkey.
We're so humble without God. We can laugh at ourselves, we are so humble. Our way is better, we can feel it. There is no meaning, we'll reveal it. We are monkeys and we live for peace. Together strong. Together strong. Nature is our savior, but it's impartial. Trust me, nothing matters. Heart in your heart too. We can laugh at ourselves, we are so humble. Our way is better, we can feel it. There is no meaning, we'll reveal it. We are monkeys and we live for peace. Together strong. Together strong. Together strong. Together strong. Together strong. Nature is our savior, but it's impartial. Trust me, nothing matters. Heart in your heart too. We are related to bananas. Don't be embarrassed, we eat our cousins. Till a monkey shuffle. 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 Till a monkey shuffle.